You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
We are back with our second host call of the weekend. So yesterday I answered somewhere around 8 to 10 of our community questions. Really, maybe I got a little overzealous. We really answered a lot of different topics, a lot of different questions. It was a lot of fun. If you didn't tune into that show, simply go to stephencabral.com/podcasts for all the previous podcasts I've ever done. And today's episode is episode 499. We're approaching 500 tomorrow. Really looking forward to that special show, and that will be obviously coming to you tomorrow. But for today, let's get into more of our community's questions. So first question from Stephanie. She says, hello, I've had extremely bad lower back pain in the first 2 days of my period when it's the heaviest. Any reason? ? I really can't work or do much these days. I've heard it's just normal and my doc wants to put me on birth control, but I know better. Any advice? I'm 32 years old and would like to have kids in the next couple of years. Also, since on the topic, is it true women get to clean out their blood, in quotation marks, through their period monthly? So it is really something we should look at as a good nuisance, ? I also break out on my back the week before my period. Normal. Thank you. Great show. Okay, Stephanie, I've spoken about this many times on the Cabral Concept, so I'm not going to go into it in depth today. All you have to do is search estrogen dominance on the Cabral Concept. Simply go to stephencabral.com/podcasts, and then just hit the Apple F, the Command F on your computer, and then just type in estrogen dominance or just estrogen, and you will find all my shows on estrogen dominance. But what happens is a lot of women, and this is actually very important and it's great that you're looking at it right now, because before you have children, before you want to get pregnant, we have to make sure that we increase or improve your levels of progesterone. So my highest recommendation is to run the hormone and adrenal panel. That will give you your cortisol levels. It will show you your estrogen levels to progesterone. It will show you testosterone and DHEA. You're going to want to run this about 5 days or so. Once you get those symptoms of I think you break out on your back before your period, right around that 5 days or so, where most women that if they have any type of PMS-based symptoms may be getting them, any type of water retention, acne, bloating, any irritability, any type of digestive-based issues as well, run it right during that time of high symptoms, okay? You'll then get to see what your estrogen to progesterone levels are. It's a simple saliva test. We mail it right to your home. Very, very easy to complete. That's when you complete it. You'll get it back. I will, of course, review those results. We'll give you a plan, and you will speak with one of my health coaches. That goes for any lab test that you can get from stephencabral.com/store. So hopefully that helps answer your question. That will give you the exact reasons. But yes, estrogen dominance is most likely the reason that you're talking about. And yes, it's actually true. So as women do go through menstruation each month, they're losing blood and they're actually cleaning their system. So that's absolutely true. You just want to make sure you put back the good vitamin C, the B vitamins, the copper, the iron, all of that great stuff back into your body. Okay. So Gina's up next. I've been breaking out on the front of my neck and lower back and shoulders and eyebrow area of my face. I've tried to learn about Chinese facial mapping, and I think it points to a bad liver, and it is. The acne in my neck is the most troublesome and creates anxiety. Thank you for your help and podcast. I'm sure to spread the news you give. Okay, so what can happen when you get acne around more of the forehead-based area or right around the cheeks or on the neck? So this can be food sensitivities without a doubt. Now, the most common food sensitivities are cow's milk, dairy, as well as gluten, as well as, believe it or not, egg whites. But what I recommend for everyone to do at least once while as they're on their health journey is to run a food sensitivity test. Can't recommend it enough. Honestly, I found out I was allergic to almonds before. I was eating lots of almonds and I was eating eliminating them. And when I eliminated them, I actually felt a difference. I felt a little bit more energetic. I felt a little less sluggish. I was a little less sore from my workout. So all I did was literally, there's a little finger poke. You run a food sensitivity test. You get all the results back. Again, you get a health coaching call with one of our health coaches. Really simple though. Like honestly, great to do. And it's from an IgG perspective, which can cause some of these acne-based issues. Now, there is a possibility that you have gut issues in general, meaning like you might have some leaky gut, some gut-based permeability. You can run an organic acids test to find that out. And possibility, because you started to mention back or shoulders. When you have acne on your back and shoulders, yes, besides like a dairy, food sensitivity, things like that, you can actually have a parasite. I've seen a lot of correlation between back acne and your body trying to expel a lot of this stuff and parasites. Now, that's a stool-based test. If you don't have a lot of loose stool, diarrhea, then your possibility for a parasite might be lower, but it's a possibility as well. So my job is, since we've never met, you and I aren't speaking, I have to be able to give you these options. What I would do is this. I would make it simple on yourself. You can run a food sensitivity test. You complete a 21-day Dr. Cabral detox. That will allow you to get a lot of these food toxins out of your system. You'll have eliminated them. By the end of the 21-day detox, if your skin is looking remarkably better, you know it was a food-based issue and a liver-based issue. The liver is just congested with the blood not being clean enough, okay? That you have your answer right there. You just basically did the 21-day detox. You're getting your body healthier. You're getting it cleaner. And then when you start to add back in one food at a time, if you start to get the acne, well, this food is causing it. But at the same time, you could also run the food sensitivity test. If you think you have gut issues, if you think you have a candida, bacterial overgrowth, or leaky gut, you could run the organic acid test. And if you think you might have a parasite, that's a possibility, well, you could run the stool-based test. We'll try to link all those up today. All right, Tony's up next. Tony is asking, "Hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm mid-fight with my girlfriend about microwaving food. I do not see the issue. She is telling me it disrupts the food at a cellular level, and I just don't believe her. Is there truly any harm in microwaving your food for best health? Also, what makes GMO food GMO? I do not see GMOs as hurtful. Again, my girlfriend thinks otherwise, so we come to you. I do not see the harm in eating GMO plants since cross-pollination is inherently natural. My girlfriend believes it's the seed that is corrupt and therefore needs more pesticides. It is all confusing to me. Please help explain. Does GMO food truly connect to disease? Thank you." Okay, so really great questions, Tony. Happy to answer this question. Happy to settle disputes amongst couples. So, this topic about microwaving food is a big one. There are nations, not in the U.S., obviously the U.S. is one nation, but nations overseas, Russia being one of those back in the 70s, some European nations as well, where they actually weren't advocating or even banning microwaves. So that was interesting to look at because of how the food is actually cooked. So a lot of people say, well, the sun produces microwave rays, which is true, right? And then microwaves produce, obviously, microwave rays. Well, there's a difference, though. When food is heated at a slower pace or like from the sun, we're looking at a pulsing current. So it's called a pulse direct current. And when you're looking at the actual technology in a microwave, you're looking at an alternating current. Okay, so there is a difference in which the way the food is heated. The molecules are sped up. And now this is where it gets really interesting. There was actually a lawsuit in 1991 because someone died. The blood, before it's transfused into your body, can't come in cold. And now blood is transported frozen or cold. I'm actually not sure if it's frozen, but I know it's cold when it's transported. Now, when they have to warm that blood back up, someone used a microwave. The microwave actually killed the blood and disrupted it at a cellular level. It changed the white blood cells. It changed the actual cellular structure itself. And that lawsuit actually went to court and they won that specifically. So now we have to look at data because, again, we don't truly have a lot of data specifically on this. But they did a lot of work over in Switzerland. Now, it was Bernard Blank was the name of, I believe it's a doctor. And this was the Swiss Institute of Technology. It was actually over there. It was the Swiss Institute of Biochemistry. Their data showed that microwaving food actually disturbed the energetic structure and cellular-based structure, the DNA structure of what it was microwaving. So I had to look at this literature because when I was doing my study and looking at microwaving food, microwaving actually preserved a lot of the vitamins and minerals. So that was really interesting, meaning like it lowered some vitamins, yes, but it allowed for more of certain types of vitamins to be released within the food. But that happens with all types of cooking, but yes, it happened with microwaving as well. But when I saw this data and I saw this evidence being brought out there as well, and then how quickly it was banned by the Swiss government, that gave me saying like, okay, well, what is this? Well, it's the lobbyists, it's the money that's there potentially pushing down and squelching this scientific research showing that there's an actual change in the food itself. Now, there's also, and again, I can't use this by itself, but when you look at Kirlian photography, which simply looks at the energy around a food. Now, this isn't kind of like woo-woo energy. This is energy that can be captured and looked at. Remember, all living things produce energy. So when they take photos of food before and after it's been microwaved, you can actually see there is less glow. There's less energy, that field being produced around that food. So that's the research right there on microwaving food. So now you can go both ways. You can say, well, there isn't enough data for me right now to exclude it completely. Or you can look at the data of how people have actually done their own experiments with microwaving water, letting it cool, of course, and then giving it to houseplants. And they find over a period of somewhere around 3 or 4 months, those plants die. But when giving regular spring water to the same exact plant right next to it that's given the same sunlight, that plant lives. That's an interesting experiment because I certainly do not want to put anything in my body that might be destroying the food, disrupting it at a cellular level, and then I can't actually absorb or utilize it. So that's my take. And the second part to this is this, with GMO foods. Okay, so GMO foods is actually created or manifested in terms of basically using a virus or using heavy metals. That is not natural. That's not a natural process at all. And then also, nature, and I totally agree with you, the cross-pollination does happen and new foods are produced. That's absolutely true. But then nature gets to see if those foods will live on. With us, we're scientifically engineering them. We're not allowing nature to do its job. Now, I could say like, okay, well, we could be helping nature, the natural process along. I can agree with that. Okay, I can go with that. Let's go along with that theory because I can go along with that. I do understand that theory. But the issue is these GMO foods are created to then be able to sustain something that's not natural. Now, that's where I take real issue. How the food's created, maybe I take less issue with that, but I absolutely do take issue with why they're created. So GMO salmon. Well, now GMO salmon they're trying to manufacture it in a way so that it can actually be red because GMO salmon isn't actually red or dark orange. And that's because it doesn't have the powerful antioxidant, the astaxanthin, and the omega-3s, okay? Really important to look at. Now, why would GMO crops or vegetables be produced? One, so they can withstand ready Roundup. Roundup being the pesticide that's sprayed on them. Now, pesticides, say what you will about GMO foods, but GMO foods are made so that we can spray pesticides on them. And pesticides are directly linked to cancer, directly linked to immune disorders, directly linked to fertility issues. We have so much of that in this world, directly linked to birth defects, and directly linked to possible and most likely potential liver and kidney-based issues. It's my thought process that we are not there yet. Maybe in the future, but right now, I certainly would not be eating microwave foods, and I would not be eating GMO pesticide sprayed foods. So, I'm not siding with your girlfriend, but we'll just say that I would lean more in her direction, and I hope that gave you enough scientific data to put your mind at ease as well. Okay, Elizabeth's up next. Quicker answer to her. Hi, Dr. Ball. Similar to the CBD oil, I was very intrigued on your 483 episode on coenzyme Q10. I purchased a CoQ supplement and serum about a year ago from MitoQ. Unfortunately, I wasn't consistent with either, but since your episode, I have looked back into them and noticed the supplement contains 5 milligrams of mitoquinol and wondered how that compares to supplements you suggested of 100 milligrams of ubiquinol. I have read reviews for both, and both seem to be effective, but the price range is quite significant. Thanks, and awesome podcast. Okay, so here's the deal that I see with MitoQ right now. Not a lot of data supporting it. So if you want the anecdotal data, that's fine to go with. I'm okay with you saying that I would like to go with that for now. But I just want you to know, based on essentially what I've seen is that MitoQ, now again, these are animal studies because no human studies that I know have been used. This was a 28-week study. So this is quite long. 28 weeks for a mouse study is significant. And what they found was there was no overall influence on systemic energy or metabolism in the mitochondria when using MitoQ. So right now, my data, again, I'm a big orthomolecular and functional medicine person based on research and data. And right now, ubiquinol, especially in the forms that I mentioned in episode 483. So again, if anyone wants to know more about coenzyme Q10, it's stevencabral.com/483. I answer that there. I believe it was a Friday review. And right now, I'm sticking with ubiquinol. If I see better data on mitoquinol, then of course I can recommend that as well. But right now I know that ubiquinol works, and so that's what I'm recommending because obviously I want to get you the best results. Amanda is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm a holistic nutritionist and love your show. Almost 5 months ago, I ended up with leaky gut, which led me to having perioral dermatitis. So my skin problems were really bad until I started going on a leaky gut protocol. Healing with bone broths, fermented foods, green juices, probiotics. Today I'm so much better, but there is still a light rash around my nose that hasn't totally gone away. Some days it's better than others. Do you have any suggestions on what could keep this lingering dermatitis? Is it bacterial or fungal? Any suggestions on a cure? Thanks for all you do. Okay, so same exact dermatitis-based issue with someone very recent in my practice. Happened a couple of times. The last person I was working with, about 24 years old, very stubborn case. Did take about 4 months, but we were able to completely eradicate it. How do we do it? Just took some time to clean up her gut. She had fungal overgrowth. She had candida overgrowth, yeast overgrowth that had been overlooked. She did not have SIBO. She did not have small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, but she did the organic acids test, saw that she had candida yeast overgrowth. We eradicated that over the period of about 12 weeks to 16 weeks. We also use topical, so we use the candida protocol that you can purchase right on stevencabral.com/store. You get exactly what we did for her. But we also used grapefruit seed extract drops, diluted, so the GSE drops, diluted right on the skin because this seems to be very highly correlated with a fungal-based infection. So yes, some women also have the higher levels of estrogen. The person that I'm speaking about in my own practice had that as well. So we did have to fix that. Now maybe higher estrogen did exacerbate it, which it seemed to because about 10 days or so before day one of her period, it seemed to flare up, but she always did have it. We corrected the yeast overgrowth. We corrected the estrogen balance, and now it's completely gone. That is exactly what I would recommend for you as well. Topical GSE drops, and I would do that twice a day, and then along with the candida protocol or use the organic acid test to know for sure. Okay, great question. 2 more questions today. Anonymous is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Is it fine to start taking probiotics after a few weeks of a decent candida cleanse, even if you're still experiencing candida symptoms, bloating, gas, etc.? Is it usual to still experience the symptoms until you start on probiotics, or should you completely wait and avoid the probiotics until those symptoms are gone? I also wondered what your take is on the controversial probiotic Enterococcus faecalis. I believe it's called faecalis. It's Faecalis. And thanks for your amazing podcast. So that's going to drive me a little crazy, but that's okay. It's Enterococcus faecalis is actually one of the streptococcum. It's a gram-positive bacteria. So just because I can't pronounce it, I do know all about that probiotic-based strain. It's a natural bacteria that grows in your gut. The issue is there's some real debate about it. And so you mentioned 2 products. I'm not going to name those products because I don't want to disparage them. I would not put this in my body. The only time I would put this in my body is if I actually did a microbiome test to look at the levels of bacteria and found that I had lower levels of streptococcus-based bacteria. Why? Because if you put this into your body and you have an overgrowth of these streptococcus-based bacteria, they could potentially increase urinary tract infections. They can increase prostatitis. They can increase myocardial-based issues, endocardial-based issues. So that's why I wouldn't use it unless you really needed it. I see no need for most people to put this strain back in their body. So that's my take. I would use the daily probiotic support. But first, it doesn't sound like you're using our candida protocol. And so you say, if you're on a decent candida cleanse, I can't answer for you what a decent candida cleanse is. The reason, I'll tell you that most candida cleanses don't work. They give you a diet that's completely devoid of carbohydrates. Once you start eating carbs again, the symptoms come right back. They don't use biofilm disruptors. They're not using a specifically targeted 12-week base approach that gets stronger each month. So that's why I can't tell you. I don't know what you're using right now. We use a protocol where it gets stronger each month, so you don't have the die-off based effects. We start adding in one single strain on month 2, and then on month 3, we add in 5 or more strains, and that allows you to just gently rebuild that gut-based bacteria. But for the most part, people's like 90% of all the gas, cramping, bloating is completely gone in the first 3 to 4 weeks. Then we add in that first strain, and then we add in more strains from there. So hopefully that answers your question. I mean, to be honest, I would simply use the one that we know works. I mean, I would say 2/3 of the products we use aren't even our brand. We are not committed to selling you nutritional supplements. We're committed to helping you get well. And what we do, I know works because over 2/3 of our practice is digestive based. So I see this daily in my practice. This isn't like every once in a while. This is what we specialize in. Okay. And just want to let you know too, the 2 probiotic formulas you mentioned in your question. Again, everyone else can see the question directly. StephenCabral.com/499. They contain fructooligosaccharides, FOSs, and yeast. I would absolutely not recommend those. We don't even know if they're non-GMO or not. Okay. Last question is from Amanda. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Love the show. Last September, I switched birth control contraceptives. I had been on the pill for about 10 years. I switched over to the copper IUD. I have had spotting almost every single month since the switch. I was told this was normal. However, I didn't expect it to last as long. Is there anything I could do to stop the spotting? Okay, so I don't know how long it's been since you switched. So, well, let's back up for a second. For people who don't know, so birth control, most women are getting a combination of estrogen or progesterone, or a higher progesterone or a higher estrogen. There are also IUDs that are hormone-based. And then there's a copper IUD, which is not hormone-based, but what it does is copper is detrimental to sperm. That's probably not the best word to use, but basically copper will kill sperm. And then copper also induces women's own body to create white blood cells against sperm, copper ions, enzymes, and prostaglandins that will also not allow for contraception to take place. It's effective about 99% of the time, a little over 99% of the time, which is important to look at as well. Nothing's 100% preventative. So that's one thing to look at. And what I would say is I wanted to look up a little bit of research for you on the spotting. And because I didn't know the exact months, so a lot of women are put on a copper IUD as well to help with heavy menstrual flow. And what they found was that it seemed to decrease each month. And it was about a 3 to 4 month time period of where the menstrual cycle started to become less and less. There was less bleeding. There was less spotting. So I don't know the exact number of months that you've been on it, but I would assume to say for you within the 4 to 6 months, you would completely stop spotting. For most women, that's what takes place. This is on PubMed, the research, a lot of research. So what I will do is I will link up that actual research for you. Happy to do that for you. And that was our last question on today's host call. So thank you everyone for tuning into today's show and this weekend's shows. And do not forget to come back for episode 500, which is tomorrow, our Mindset and Motivation Monday. I didn't even plan it. One of my favorite shows each and every week is our Mindset and Motivation Monday, and I'm so looking forward to our 500th episode. Thank you everyone for making this podcast possible. I appreciate each and every one of your listens. Thank you so very much. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my Health Results Accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stevencabral.com/courses.